I have lots of friends. You can't join our book club.
I don't know the joy of that.
You can't join our book club. Books are just for us.
You can't join our book club. You forgot to join me.
Book club, book club, book club, book club, book club, book club. Yeah!
Man.
Hey everybody, welcome to the first time we're doing the show.
The very original, the one and only number one.
This will definitely be episode 1 unless it doesn't happen, and then it'll be episode 2.
Another
5?
one. Yeah, man, I'm nervous. But let's see. Welcome to You Can't Join Our Book Club, the book club, the podcast.
That's the name.
A show about books and clubs
and podcasts.
That is it. That is the thing that this is.
Yeah.
I'm Joey. Hello to all you lovely people out there
or in there.
That's me. There I am.
I'm Tim. How's it going?
That's the one. And together we are us.
We're us. Yeah.
Yeah. As you can tell, we're awesome at
we're
this.
We're so awkward at this.
But we are going to be talking about some books today. And by some books, I mean specifically one book. And by specifically one book, I mean this book right here.
That's the one.
This is Isaac Asimov's The Gods Themselves, a book about some science stuff.
Yeah. As he is wont to do. Asimov is wont to do.
You've read more Asimov than I have, I believe.
Probably.
Yeah,
I did for a little bit. I was reading just a lot of Isaac Asimov stuff. I still haven't read the Foundation series.
That's
which
like
is
his big thing, right?
Yeah, that's like probably arguably his biggest one.
Yeah.
But I think I've read all of the books in the Robots series that he did. Which were like kind of a detective novel kind of thing, but
I actually didn't
robots
know that.
and future stuff. Those were all great.
So is that where iRobot comes from?
No, that's a separate thing.
Because I've read that as a kid, but
I haven't read that.
I don't remember any of it.
I read. Actually, I've read a lot of Asimov. So the robots books, that's like 4, and then I've read. Nemesis. And I've read, is it Nightfall? I think it's Nightfall.
Couldn't tell you. Sounds cool though.
And then now I've read this. So that's all of my Asimov readings. But I'm a big fan of his style. I like the way he gives details. I feel like he does a great job of describing things in a way that I can like picture them really well, but he doesn't like over explain what's going on,
and it all still feels really smart. Like I felt smarter after I read this, even though it's about things that can't happen.
Right. He has a way of writing sci-fi that I think that he's a really smart guy. He's dead.
Yes.
But sorry, Isaac. We like you. Yeah. I feel like he has a really good way of writing sci-fi novels that just feel like there's science in them. Like I think he understands a lot of science, a lot of physics, a lot of things like that.
Yeah,
and some of it's dated maybe, but
that's what I was wondering. Does he have any background in science?
I honestly have no idea. It seems like he does.
Yeah, or like he's at least read a few books.
Yeah, he's at least a solid researcher.
Yeah, because like they're talking about like plutonium, like fake elements, and how like nuclear reactions happen, and it's like it all sounds, it all reads as very smart, and like he kind of knows what he's talking about.
Right.
So yeah, I never looked into it, but I'm wondering if, possibly like, did he go from like very smart science guy to writing about robots and stuff?
Could be. I don't think so, but I'm not sure about that. I wouldn't speak to that.
Yeah.
But
all right. So this book, you picked this book.
I picked this book. Yeah.
Any particular reasons why?
Two main reasons. One I love Isaac Asimov.
Mm-hmm.
And 2, I saw that this book had a lot of good reviews. A lot of people seemed to like it. So, and I hadn't read it.
Yeah.
And I kind of wanted to pick one. Like we've discussed, we're not against doing books that are part of series on this show, even if we're not doing the other ones. But I didn't want to start us off with that, so I really wanted to pick a standalone book, and this fit the bill.
I mean, for a first one, this is definitely out there.
It was very out there.
It gets weird, man.
See, and I didn't read any of the summaries or anything about it before I picked it. I like I said, I looked to see what people thought about the book, and I knew it was Isaac Asimov, and that was kind of all the looking into it I did. I was just like, I want to do that.
Yeah, I had a similar thought process going into this.
Yeah,
I saw that it had like high ratings, and I was like, oh, I'm more interested in this now. But I didn't look at anything until I had actually read it.
Yeah,
and then most of the things were just kind of confirming everything that I was thinking, which is good. We're all on the same wavelength here. That this is a pretty good book.
Yeah.
Now, Tim, aside from picking this book, you have also created a drink for us today.
That's correct. Yeah.
Now, introduce us to this drink. I'm very excited to know what's going on.
So I decided to go with, I went on a long journey of what I wanted to do.
Mm-hmm.
And
it's so
this here
pretty.
Is this is a melting Triad.
All right, I like it.
And then in parentheses, a hard one.
That's good.
So basically what this is, it's just like a vodka slushy, a vodka lemonade slushy.
All right.
I took some other slushy recipes, hard slushy recipes, and kind of ignored most of what they said.
As you do. Yeah.
What I ended up doing, for one thing, I wanted it to be 3 ingredients so that the Triad name would make sense.
Yes.
So all that is in this is vodka, grapefruit soda, and lemonade sorbet.
Yum.
So I took the lemonade sorbet and mixed it with the vodka in a bowl, and then added some of the grapefruit soda. I grabbed a 2-liter. I did like a third of the soda in that, froze that, and then added a little bit more grapefruit soda on top to serve.
Ooh.
To kind of give it a little bit more liquid to mix it up. So that's what this is.
Yeah, I have to ask because I genuinely wasn't expecting this. Our viewers may not know, but I definitely know you're not the biggest fan of vodka.
I'm not. But there are 2 things about vodka that I like. Mm-hmm. One is that it's such a this is just what alcohol tastes like.
Yes.
About it, that it's very easy to mix with things, and it goes super well with citrus. So I knew that it would work really well for this. So I'm going to go ahead and hand this to you.
Oh, yeah.
And then I'm going to grab mine.
As the audience definitely knows, I do like vodka. In fact, one might say I love vodka.
That was another part of my choosing that. I thought about doing tequila because I think it would have worked really well in it, but I didn't want it to just end up being a margarita.
Yeah. We didn't clink. I'm sorry for that. I got a bit overexcited.
That's all right.
I must say, this is delicious.
I'm really happy with how it turned out, and I'm glad really you think so. So for not having really followed any directions, I think it turned out all right.
It's so good, and you're right. You warned me before we started filming that this would be cold.
Yeah,
this is very cold on my knee right now.
Very cold. Yeah,
but
yeah. If you want to find a way to sit it down, yeah.
No, I will. I will suffer for my art. I thought it would be good to give people just a general description of the book.
Yeah.
I'm just going to read from the back of it.
Yeah.
In the 22nd century, Earth obtains limitless free energy from a source science little understands, in exchange between Earth and a parallel universe, using a process devised by the aliens. The aliens.
Yes.
But even free energy has a price. The transference process itself will eventually lead to the destruction of Earth's sun and of Earth itself. Ooh. Only a few know the terrifying truth. An outcast Earth scientist, a rebellious alien inhabitant of a dying planet, a lunar-born human intuitionist who senses the imminent annihilation of the sun. Those are a lot of big words right there.
Darn right.
They know the truth, but who will listen? They have foreseen the cost of abundant energy, but who will believe? These few beings, human and alien, hold the key to Earth's survival.
I'm actually really glad that I didn't read that before I read this book.
Yeah.
Not that it spoils a whole lot, but it's just, I had no idea what to expect.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like that would have given away to me a little bit more of what happens. This book is broken down into 3 parts.
Yes.
So with it being broken down into 3 parts the way it is, I feel like after having finished a part and then another part, it kind of becomes clear, what it would be. But I still didn't know where it was going in the 3rd part. My expectations were kind of altered.
Yeah. I think if I remember correctly, we were just casually talking about this because we tried not to talk too much about this book before recording this. I was talking about how the book is split into 3 parts, and I think what I guessed is kind of close to what actually ended up happening. I think my guesses were pretty vague, but I think I kind of nailed it, and I'm pretty proud of that. But also, you said it was split into 3 parts, and I think what's interesting about that is if you recognize the phrase "the gods themselves," it is part of a quote. I can't remember who said it, but it's really cool because all 3 parts together, it's part 1 is against stupidity, part 2 is the gods themselves, and part 3 is contend in vain? Question mark. And that fully is the actual quote.
Yeah.
And I thought that might have been what they were doing when I bought the book. And then I actually, I flipped open to the, table of contents, and I'm like, oh, that's exactly what they're doing.
Yeah.
That's really neat.
It is really cool. I like it a lot.
If you haven't read this book before we start, diving deep into it, I just want to say, if you want to read a book that has to do with a lot of science, a lot of Earth-ending possibilities, and some aliens that are very uniquely alien, I would say.
Yeah.
Give it a read. It's not a terribly long read at all.
No, it's not.
In fact, I would say it reads quite fast.
Yeah.
The total time, I don't time myself on reading books because I read a chapter or 2 every night, but I think all in all, it probably took me just a couple of hours to get through.
Yeah, that's probably true. I'm a much slower reader than I feel like most people. I'm getting a little faster as I read more. And I was reading it kind of during my lunches at work. Mm. So roughly an hour a day, I read the book, and it took me a week.
Yeah, and you got through it quite a bit earlier than I did.
Yeah, yeah.
Let's get into it. Let's dive in. Let's talk about the gods themselves. I'll let you lead. This is your book.
Yeah.
Let's go.
So are we wanting to talk about kind of the general plot now, or?
Yeah, let's just hop in at the beginning. Part 1.
One of the things that immediately I was surprised by, because Asimov doesn't usually, at least in the stuff that I've read, do this kind of thing. It starts with chapter 6.
Yeah. That threw me off.
Which is
so much.
What, I genuinely, when I opened it, if it weren't for the fact that I read, he has a little foreword that talks about the book, and it more or less says it's supposed to start with 6.
Yeah, this isn't a misprint, guys.
Yeah. If it hadn't been for that, I genuinely probably would have looked to see if the pages were gone.
Yeah, it's such a unique way of writing a book, also reading a book. because what it does basically, it starts with chapter 6.
Yeah.
And then it goes to chapter 1.
Yeah.
And then it goes back to chapter 6. It keeps bouncing back and forth until you actually get all of the context to chapter 6. And then everything that you've read before makes sense. And then once you actually get to where 6 should be, it just keeps going right from there. Insane. That's so cool.
Yeah. Yeah.
I was not expecting that at all. So what is happening in part 1? There is this man. I'm going to tell you right now, I'm horrible at remembering names. His name is Harlan?
Hallam.
Hallam. There we go.
You were almost on it.
I was so close. He's this... Is he an actual scientist, or is he just a guy who's sort of affiliated with the field?
So he's a radiochemist.
There we go.
So he's not, he doesn't deal with the theory for the most part. He just deals with some of the practical applications of a lot of this information. And because of that, like, there are some points that come up that are, he's like revered in this field, but he doesn't actually necessarily know that much about it.
Yeah, he kind of stumbled onto this discovery that we will explain, and he kind of becomes sort of like the poster child for this new type of energy that the world starts using.
Yeah.
And what it is, it's very scientific in a fake sciencey way. So let's see if we can break this down. It has something to do with do you remember exactly what it was? Plutonium-128? Does that sound right?
That sounds right. It's something like that.
Which is... Explain what plutonium-128 does.
So basically, whatever the atomic number actually is in the book, it's higher than it's supposed to be possible to be. And that means more or less that it shouldn't be able to exist based on our laws of physics. It should just decay super rapidly, but it doesn't. It holds its structure at first.
Yeah.
And then it does start to decay, and when it does so, it releases large amounts of energy. So
that we're like, they decide to start bottling up and using.
Yeah.
They see it as this sort of like this is this new form of limitless energy that we can use.
Basically, it starts off, they've got this jar of an element. Don't remember which element. It doesn't really matter that much. Ultimately,
because it's fake.
The jar has this element in it, and then later it's like, oh, that's not the element, that's not the right thing in there. Like, you can look at it and see that it's a different thing. And so they start running tests on it, and they discover that it is this like tungsten or whatever, that it's like starting to decay, and it's leaking all of this energy and becoming super radioactive. And so they can't figure out what happened, and eventually they have a big conference to figure out what the heck is going on. And through that, this Hallam guy sort of steals someone else's idea,
because he's like that,
and like he builds on it a little bit, but the base of it is something someone else said. And he's like, maybe there's another universe that this came from, and they did a swap. They took the element that was there and replaced it with this other element, and that's how that happened, and that's how it is not obeying our laws of physics, because it's still obeying the laws of physics from the universe it's from. Yeah, really cool idea. Cool. Yeah. When I got there, I'm like, I don't know that I ever could have thought of something like that.
Wish that was real.
Yeah.
Except I don't.
No, because it doesn't work out well in the end.
Yeah. Spoiler alert. It could be very bad.
Yeah.
But yeah, so they create this pump, which sort of it does the process of the decay, does it do it? It does it like faster, or it does it at like a bigger rate or something?
I don't think that it actually does anything different. It's just they are supplying materials.
So they're getting them to more of it.
Yeah. Okay. So they're bringing it in larger quantities, and now instead of just studying it, they're harnessing the energy that it's giving off. Because initially they were just like, and they weren't really doing anything with it.
And it sort of creates this like new golden age for the Earth.
Right.
Because before this, society was sort of like in a decline. It wasn't looking that great. But now, they've started using this new energy. It's like, oh, yeah, everything's going to be great now. It's free. There are no repercussions.
Yeah.
Except one man thinks that there might be.
Yeah.
And this man's name, and I bet you I can actually remember this one because it just flashed in my head. Peter Lamont.
That's correct.
Ooh.
I wasn't positive about first name, but it's definitely Lamont. And since you so confidently said Peter, we're going to roll with it.
I remembered Peter. I didn't remember Lamont.
That's really funny.
That was a guess.
So Lamont is like, he's a reporter of sorts?
Yeah, I believe so.
So yeah, I think basically he's like interviewing people about this. Initially, he is a big Hallam fanboy, and then after talking to some people and talking to Hallam,
he has a run-in.
Oh, actually, no.
Yeah, he has a run-in with Hallam, and he's like, actually, I've changed my mind. I don't like this guy in the slightest.
Not at all. And so he starts digging in. Basically, he decides that he doesn't like Hallam, and that kind of fuels him to want to find a problem with the pump.
Yeah, his whole like scientific journey is completely based on spite, and I love it. That's such a great way to write a character.
Yeah.
Because it's like, he's going to do smart stuff. He's going to try and save the world. But he's only doing it because he really hates this guy.
Yeah. Yeah. I love it so much. It feels so honest.
Yeah. It's like, no, there's no like, I'm not trying to be the good guy here.
Yeah. And so he teams up with this linguist person. This guy is renowned for having deciphered some ancient languages from Earth.
What happens is we start getting, I say we as a society, we as humankind start getting like messages through the pump. He is trying to, well, not initially, I believe, but eventually the linguist character does decide to start like deciphering them.
Yeah, Lamont like recruits him basically.
Yeah, and he really doesn't want to do it for a while.
Yeah, and he recruits him specifically so that they can send messages to the people. The paramin is what they call them.
Yeah, so good because they want to stop the pump.
Yeah,
because they believe, and they're, I believe in the end, correct, that if they keep using the pump and getting all of this energy, what will happen is the sun will explode.
Yeah.
Which, that's not very good.
No, that's really bad.
Yeah, that wouldn't be good for anybody.
And when I first read that, I really thought, okay, well, now we're just talking some sci-fi nonsense. And I'm okay with that, but we're just talking sci-fi nonsense. And then he explained it.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, no, that actually does make sense. Like, I don't know anything, so it could be total nonsense.
Yeah.
Totally. But after it was explained, I was like, that might be how that works.
It checks out. That sounds right to me.
Basically what he was saying is that like every time we do this, every time we send something back and forth through the two worlds, some of their laws of physics leak into our world. So they have really strong nuclear reactions, and we have weaker.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so basically as the materials are sent back and forth, that leaches into the two worlds until eventually both are at an equilibrium, which is somewhere in the middle of strong and weak nuclear interactions, which doesn't sound like that big of a deal, but stars won't work the same, and basically, our sun would explode because of that, according to what this is saying.
Yeah.
And
that checks out to me.
It makes sense.
That sounds real and bad.
And so, like, a lot of the reason that people are so resistant to, like, because he tells people this, he's going around, Lamont's going around, like, talking to important people to try and get them to stop the pump.
Yeah.
And they're like, no, actually, because they already knew about this problem and they don't think it's a big deal.
Yeah, they think it'll happen like, what, millions of years in the future or something like that. They're like, well, that's not our problem.
Exactly.
And by the time that becomes a bigger problem, we'll be so much more advanced, we'll be able to deal with it.
But what Lamont points out, other places in the universe might be doing this as well. That's the issue.
I believe so, yeah.
And so it's more or less that, okay, yeah, if it was just us doing this here, no big deal. But if this is happening all over the place, it's going to, like, rapidly speed up the rate at which everything decays and becomes a problem. And he's kind of pointing to, like, there are measurable effects, and it doesn't seem to quite fall in line with what the general thinking is. So that's more or less the first part of the book.
Yeah, we just kind of end that part with, yeah, man, we're kind of doomed, and nobody believes us.
Yep. They managed to send some messages to the Paramin, Lamont and this guy, and basically what they get back is...
it just says,
you guys stop, basically.
Yeah, they start sending messages back and forth. The aliens, the Paramin, start to sort of understand our language from what we can tell. And they start sending messages back. It's like, we can't stop. You guys stop the pump.
Yeah.
And then they send back... Isn't this in the first part where they just send back the word fear?
Yeah.
Which is misspelled, but also terrifying.
Right.
But yeah, so there is communication. From what the characters know at that point, the aliens also know the situation, but they're not going to do anything.
Right. And another big part of the whole them trying to reach out to the Paramin is that Lamont speculates that the people in this universe are way smarter than we are, because they were the ones that initiated the pump, and we don't know how to do that. We more or less just hand them stuff.
Yeah.
And so he's like, they're so much smarter, so if we can reason with them, they'll, see the issue and they'll stop. And it doesn't quite work out that way.
Yeah, because by the end of the first part, everything just looks bad.
Yeah.
Like, we know things are going to go bad, and also nobody is going to do anything to stop that.
Yep. And so when we move on to the second part, which this makes so much sense, and I think we both expected this to be where it went. The second part is all about the Paramin.
Yeah.
You're in the other universe.
Yeah, it's just from their perspective. And this was my favorite part of the book.
It's so weird.
It is so weird.
I love it, but it's so weird.
So we have a new cast of characters. More specifically, we have a cast of aliens, and they are hard to describe because they are very alien. They are sort of amorphous blobs.
Yeah. From what you can gather.
Yeah. That are they can, like, sort of phase between different forms of matter. Like, they can be they could be solid, they could be a bit more gaseous. Just they're weird, man. And they operate in triads, which is what this drink is named after. But the triad is three of these beings who sort of create a family unit. Yeah. Yeah. So one of them is, I can't remember the actual names for them. Do you?
So there's a rational, an emotional, and a parental.
A parental, yes.
Are the three.
That's the one I couldn't remember.
And so it pretty much is how it sounds. The rational is a guy that's like thinking. Yeah. That's basically what the rationals do. They just think.
Yeah. They know math and stuff.
The parental takes care of the babies of these They're called the soft ones.
Love it.
There are baby soft ones that the triads can make. Each triad is more or less supposed to make another triad. Mm-hmm. And apparently, as you read on, you find out that at one point they could make multiple triads. Each triad could, produce multiple triads, but because of their sun cooling down, the sun is where they get all their energy from. They are not able to produce as much, so now they're able to do one triad per family unit.
Yeah.
And the parental takes care of the baby triad.
And the emotional, they initiate the creation of the children.
Yeah.
They are sort of the vital part for all three of them to, I forget what they say, but basically they'll merge. Mm-hmm. And then melting, that's it. Yeah. And after
melting triad.
Yeah, of course. Duh. And then after they're done melting, which I believe they said could take days, if it's a real good one.
Right. Basically. Yeah.
And then they come apart, and if you're lucky, you have a baby.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And so basically the emotional is capable of absorbing a lot of energy. So the emotional produces like more or less the seed.
Yeah.
And then the parental carries the kids.
And the rational is also there.
Yeah. Basically the rational is not important other than the fact that they can't do it without all three of them.
Yeah, so
this is where it got into. I'm interested to see your take on this, because some of it felt like that's rather sexist, just with the way, because all of the emotionals are women, all of the rationals are men, and then all of the parentals are men too.
Yeah,
and I'm just
that's a bit progressive.
Right? I guess. But the fact that it's the rationals are men and the emotionals are women feels a little...
Yeah, no, that's messed up.
It's also so intentionally alien from what we normally do that I'm like, it's maybe a rather sexist way to write it, but it's also by the end of it, I wasn't really thinking about that anymore, because it's just so different from anything that we do.
And also, as we learn, these sort of roles that they fit into, they're not concrete.
Yeah, and that did help me as well, because I'm like, okay, that's kind of recognizing that maybe gender roles are not
it's
really all they're cracked up to be.
Yeah, it's more of a societal thing.
Right.
Where it's like, well, you're a man, you're going to go be irrational. You're a woman, you're going to go be irrational.
Right. Messed up. Yeah. But regardless of any of that, it was such an interesting read, that second part. I mean, it's just, I really do feel like Asimov has just such a wild imagination for that kind of thing. He's so good at coming up with scenarios and things that feel so foreign to anything on Earth. Not even just oh, that's not the culture I've grown up with, but no, that's not even...
It is, it's hard to even find another word for it, but it is so alien.
Yeah.
And yet by the time I was done with that part, it's like, oh, I completely understand this world now.
Yeah. Yeah.
He paints a very good picture.
So what I had in mind when I was coming up with this, I really wanted to do this. I kind of had the idea of the vodkas kind of like the rational. Mm-hmm. It's very this is what it is. Like I was saying, vodka's kind of the alcohol that is alcohol. Yeah. And so it's kind of hard. There's no soft edge to
it's vodka.
Yeah. And so that's that I was picturing as the rational. And I pictured the lemonade sorbet as the emotional. It's kind of more fun. It's got a sweet flavor. It's very nice to be. It wants to be enjoyed in a social setting. It's yeah. And then the grapefruit soda, I kind of felt like it's not an unappealing thing. It's got its nice characteristics that you enjoy and whatever, but it's also totally something that like an adult would want, and it's not like you're not seeing a grapefruit soda as a kid and being like, oh yeah, that's what I want.
That's
you know
my
what I mean?
stuff right
It's
there.
got that kind of like a little bit more sour, a little bit more bitter flavor, but it's still,
it's a mature drink.
Exactly. So I felt like that kind of worked. Yeah, and that's where I went with that.
Yeah, I really like that. Where was I? Oh yes, the three beings in the triad that we follow are as follows: the emotional, who is named Dua.
That's correct.
The rational, who is named Odin.
Yeah, I love that name. Solid.
And the parental, who is Trit.
Yeah.
I nailed it. There we go.
Yeah, good stuff.
Love these people. These are my guys right here.
Yeah.
I don't think we should really talk about everything. And
maybe not. Not spoil it all.
Yeah, first of all, there is a lot to it. But second of all, if you're listening to this, read the book for this part.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely.
So what we know about triads, or what we are led to believe about triads at least, is that they do their duty, they make their children, then eventually they pass on.
Yeah. They kind of all just decide it's time.
Yeah.
And then they go.
That's bleak.
Yeah.
I was reading that. That's like, Dua is talking to her parental, and he's saying like, oh yeah, I felt it. I'm gonna leave now.
Bye
forever.
Now. Yeah.
I'm going to get some milk. I'll be back.
Jeez.
And then he never is. So that is a thing that Dua worries about.
Yeah.
She doesn't understand how she could ever feel like she could pass on.
Yeah, there's no part of her that even kind of wants to pass on.
Yeah. And then she joins a triad with Odin and Trit, who I believe are already together before she gets there.
Right, yeah.
And they've kind of all three been paired together because all three of them, as we learn, are a bit odd. They're all a bit goofy.
Yeah. Yeah, they don't fall into the direct norms of the triads.
Yeah. And what we learn, at first, it just seems that Trit, the only thing he cares about is making babies.
Yeah, he just wants to make their triad. He just wants to have the kids so he can take care of the kids.
Yeah, and he just wants to do his duty.
And he's totally down to pass on whenever it's time because he just wants to raise the kids and then that's it. Mm-hmm. So.
And then I don't really remember Odin's whole deal in the beginning. I just remember what all he gets into later in that part, which is he is talking to the hard ones, or at least one of the hard ones.
Yes, Lostin. Yeah, L-O. Lostin.
Hello. And the hard ones are sort of like these upper beings of society.
Yeah.
They are hard, as opposed to all of these triad beings who are a bit bouncy. Mm-hmm. They're a bit fluid. These are like the uber smart people. These are they're the ones they're working on everything.
Yeah.
These are the ones that the rationals learn from.
Yeah.
And he's talking to Lustin.
Well, he talks to him. I mean, it kind of varies, but in the beginning, he's just super obsessed with learning because he's irrational. That's what his whole thing is. And eventually, they start talking about how the universe that they're in is dying. All of the stars are cooling off, which super interesting the way he wrote that too, because he was talking about how they have like 7 stars that they can see or something like that.
Yeah. Not a lot.
Yeah. And presumably there are a lot more than that, but it's just they're so dim because of the way the interactions work in their world. The stars just burn a lot cooler. And the star that they are orbiting is cooling off.
Yeah, so it's like the complete opposite of what's happening on Earth.
Exactly.
And it is happening to a higher degree now as it is on Earth because of the pump.
Yeah. They need the energy from the sun to continue to produce new triads. So they're trying to find a way around that. And basically what they've decided, you find out as the story progresses, is that like they don't really care if their stars burn out, because if they are getting this energy from the other universe, they can just feed off that. Yeah. They don't need to feed off the sun. They can artificially feed off of the energy from the other universe. You discover that they don't care if the other universe, like if the sun explodes, because they're more or less like, okay, well then we just have a bunch of energy that we can harvest.
Yeah.
So who cares?
It is. It's quite rude of them, to be honest.
Yeah, it's messed up.
But yeah, so that's the big thing, or those are the big things that are going on in part 2. Honestly, there are a lot more interesting things that are happening, especially with Dua, that I kind of don't want to spoil.
Yeah, we don't have to cover all that.
Yeah, but it's if you're gonna. Man, just read this book. But read it for this part. It's so good.
Dua is interesting because she doesn't really align with the other emotionals. She doesn't really feel the way they feel.
Yes.
And she, in a lot of ways, wants to be like the rationals, or is like the rationals.
Oh, yeah. That is something that we do definitely have to bring up. Yeah. She is learning from Odin.
Yes.
That's like the sort of relationship that they begin to have.
Yeah.
And he is surprised that she is able to, take in all this information, because that's not something an emotional is supposed to do.
Right.
You're just supposed to feel feelings.
Yeah. And she takes it in and expounds upon it. Like, she's really clever about it, which is everybody is surprised by and confused by. That's another part that I thought was super interesting about the second part of the book. It's so, they talk so much about like what is acceptable behavior and what is like expected and understandable and what would be considered wrong. Mm-hmm. And it's so interesting, like, because a lot of what they're doing is breaking those, what they're supposed to be doing.
Yeah.
Because Dua is kind of pushing them outside of the bounds of what is acceptable.
Yeah. Which is why, like I said earlier, I was pretty genuine about it. I do think in a lot of ways this is a rather progressive book for the time. Mostly because, it tackles a lot of like, societal norms and kind of, going against the grain, and it's not viewed as a bad thing. In fact, it's viewed as a necessary thing.
Right. Yeah, which is really interesting and pretty cool.
Yeah.
I enjoyed when I got to a point in the second part where I started to see that. Because like I said, when I first started reading it, it was like, oh. But then like by the time you get to the end of it, it's like, oh, okay. The second part does leave off with just reiterating the fact that, yes, they are probably not going to do anything to stop the pump.
Yeah. Yeah. No big movement is made on their side.
Yeah. Because there's really only one person that's wanting that, and everybody else is like, no, dude.
Oh, and I guess one other thing we should say, it's Dua that is sending the messages to Earth.
Yeah, Dua does send the messages to Earth.
Yeah, because she's so smart and she learns so fast that she was able to learn the human language. Yeah. Which I'm guessing is probably English, but who knows at that point in the future.
Yeah, could be. It's written in English, but it could be whatever.
I don't know what it would be. Chinese? I'd like to learn Chinese.
I'd respect that. That sounds like, I mean, I've heard that the different dialects of Chinese are like the hardest things to learn.
Yeah. Also, I don't want to be one of those people where it's like, oh, white boy speaks perfect Chinese.
Yeah.
Shocks waiter.
Yeah, no, don't do that.
I mean, I want to be a white boy speaks perfect English and then shocks his waiter.
White boy has a taser. Yeah. So moving on to the third part.
Part 3. We're on the moon.
Yeah, and that was the thing that I wasn't expecting. Yeah, because they don't really talk about. I mean, I think they briefly bring up the moon in the first part, but it sounds like it could just be a world building line. Yeah. So I didn't necessarily think, okay, this is where we're going. But then, it immediately you're on the moon. There is nothing in the third part takes place on Earth at all.
It is 3 very distinct parts. Yeah. 3 sort of bleeds into 1 a tiny bit.
A little bit,
They mention Lamont.
Yeah. Yeah, they talk about him briefly on 2 occasions, I think.
It's this old dude hanging out on the moon. Yeah. With
but by old, like he's like 40 or something.
He's old by moon standards.
Very old by moon standards.
And I did love this. This is something I've actually thought about before. People on the moon, they don't really age that much. Yeah. And I love that.
Like they still get old and die in the same like rough amount of time.
They just don't get all saggy.
But yeah, they're because the effect of gravity is so much less. They don't get all wrinkly and saggy.
Yeah, which awesome. I love that.
They also have weak bones.
Yeah. But this Earthman, as he's called for like 6 chapters before we learn his name. Yeah. Or this Earthy, which I believe is a slur.
It was a slur, yeah. And what was the one for the moon people that was the slur?
It can't just be Moonies?
I don't think so.
Loonies.
Because they call themselves Lunarites. Yeah. Doesn't matter.
Yeah. Let's just say it's
moon babies.
Yeah, moon babies. So yeah, this Earthman, he is going to the moon. I don't believe he plans to live there at first, but he does eventually come to that decision that he's just going to chill out on the moon for the foreseeable future. And he immediately runs into this tour guide type person. Yeah. Her name, and this bugs me. In the book, they actually give like a phonetic pronunciation of her name. Still think it's wrong. Yeah. I think it's just Celine.
Yeah, it's spelled like it would be Celine. It's Selene.
But they say it's Selene.
Yeah. Which, like, I know that's not how you typically spell Celine, but, like, it's Celine, though.
At least that's an actual name.
But, yeah, Selene.
Selene sounds like a Pokemon. Yeah. Or celery. Yeah. Yeah. Celebi. That's who I was thinking of. Oh. That is a Pokemon. But anyway, he runs into this tour guide. Yeah. In quotes. Yeah. So he runs into her. They kind of hit it off, even though he's some dirty earthy. Right. And then she goes back home to her moon boyfriend. Yeah.
Baron.
Is it Neville or Neville or Neville?
I think it's Neville.
All right, it's spelled like Neville. Yeah. But yeah, let's just call him. I'm gonna call him Baron. My boy Barry. Yeah. So she goes back to my boy Barry's house, and she's talking about like, oh yeah, I ran into this guy. He was asking about some like scientific moon stuff, and this sets my boy Barry off.
Yeah, he's not happy about it.
He does not like this guy. Yeah. Because he is a moon scientist. He knows about moon science, and he's like, what is this dirty earthy doing here on my planet talking about my science? Talking to you of all people? Yeah. And why are you talking back to him like that? Because Moon Society, it's weird about relationships. And by that, I mean, it's just very chill about relationships. Yeah. They basically only hang out to do the stuff, and then Nothing else.
Yeah, it's very casual.
It's super casual.
It's
they are moon friends with moon benefits,
which is mirrored in one of the other things that Asimov writes. There's a planet called Solaris, and I believe that's what it's called. And similarly to this, it is a much smaller planet, so lower gravity, people don't age as fast. And the relationships are very different. But on that one, they are super isolated, and they're never really around each other. So it's kind of like inversed almost.
Yeah. That's interesting.
Yeah.
You said it's Solaris?
Yeah.
Is that what the book is called?
No, that's from one of the robots books. It's like Robots of Dawn or something like that.
That's fun. That's a cool title. I like that. But yeah, so anyway, my boy Barry's upset. Selene is hanging out with this Earthman a lot, and this is what I wanted to show you earlier. In the one note that I have written in this book, I'll show it to camera real quick. That's my one note right there.
And you wrote that note?
I did write that note.
You wrote that note.
I said, because she's learning a whole bunch of science stuff from the Earthman, I was like, this relationship mirrors Odin and Dua.
Interesting. Yeah, I didn't really pick up on that, but you're totally right.
That's my one note.
Yeah.
That I felt that, like I told you about, I was like, I felt pretty smart writing that down.
Yeah.
And then I was like, this might be very obvious. I don't know.
It wasn't to me. I mean, that doesn't necessarily mean anything, but it was not obvious to me. So.
But as it turns out, well, as Selene learns, what does she learn? She learns about what he's doing there on the moon, which honestly, I can't recall everything that he's doing there.
Basically, he's there for two reasons. He's trying to learn, and he's trying to become a physicist, basically.
Yeah. And he was kind of ostracized from Earth.
Yeah, he lost his position and was kind of forced into some other work, and now he's trying to get his name back, basically. And so he's trying to learn about physics, and he's trying to find a way to fix the problem that is caused by the electron pump.
Yeah. And he learns that Selene is an intuitionist, as they call it, which basically means she gets real smart real fast.
Which was part 2 of me being like, okay.
This is a special woman's
intuition, huh? Yeah. But, you know, that was interesting, because basically what she's supposed to be kind of a product of genetic experimentation, or presumably. It's never said definitely one way or another, and it basically is honing the ability to like kind of guess what stuff is. Like you just kind of know it innately by looking at it or seeing it. You just kind of know how it works and what's supposed to happen.
Yeah. She's like half psychic or something.
Yeah. Yeah. She's an interesting character.
Yeah. I thought that was, I don't know if I really liked that aspect, but I enjoyed thinking about it.
Yeah. Yeah.
It was definitely interesting. But basically her and this Earthman, I really do not recall his name.
They call him Ben more than anything else, I think. So
yeah, except for Earthy. An Earthman. But he deserved that. If he didn't want to be called Earthy, he shouldn't have been from Earth. Walked right into that one. Yeah, so they're basically just hanging out on the moon.
Yeah.
She's showing him all the stuff that they do on the moon, which is rather interesting. There's a lot of low gravity fights, it seems like. Or skirmishes.
I think dancing and sports and fights. Yeah.
Which I kind of got lost reading that. Just a bit. Only because it's like it's a sport thing and it's like a fake sport thing, and that you always lose me there.
That's fair.
But then there's also the whole thing about not Earth people, moon people love being naked.
Yeah,
which like good for them.
Yeah,
but he doesn't like that.
Right.
My boy Ben does not like that one bit.
Yeah, they basically, it sounds like most of the time they're either naked or just in underwear.
Yeah.
What we would consider underwear.
He starts working, my boys start working together scientifically.
Yeah, yeah.
But I, for the life of me, cannot remember exactly what it is they're doing.
So basically, they are tapping into a third universe that's sort of at the opposite end of the spectrum. Like if the Paramen's universe is strong nuclear reactions and we are weak nuclear reactions, which it could be reversed, I don't really remember, then this other universe is super weak nuclear reaction. So it's on the opposite end of everything.
Which makes us in the middle.
Right.
Interesting.
And so more or less what is, because the idea is that if this other universe exists, there must be infinite universes. It brings in the whole multiverse thing.
Yeah.
And so with that being the case, we should be able to find one that would suit our needs. And our need is to have something that is sort of canceling out the effects of the Paramin universe.
Yeah.
So if we're pumping from this other universe, it should be kind of bringing us back to what we're normally at.
Yeah. So they're just trying to like level everything out.
Exactly. And you'd be getting more energy from this as well because of the reactions. So it's like a twofold thing. Like you're getting energy and you're, fixing the problem more or less.
And now their whole thing is the device that they're creating. Does it have to be built on the moon, or are they saying they'll only build it on the moon?
It has to be built on the moon because they need a vacuum for one thing to do this experiment in.
Yes.
And
like the vacuum of space.
Yeah. And the moon having no atmosphere. You're all set.
That is true.
And the second part of it is, I guess it's a little dangerous. So the surface of the moon being pretty much unoccupied, it's a little safer. I think those were the two factors.
Oh, okay. And then I know my boy Ben, doesn't he want to separate like moon civilization completely? Not Ben, my other guy. Barry, yeah, my guy Barry. He wants to like completely separate the moon people from Earth. So
what Ben doesn't know is, or doesn't know initially, but figures out, is that you get energy from the setting up this connection to the other universe, but you also get, I guess it's more or less like some sort of force, like I don't know. I don't know exactly how they explain it. I don't know if it's material or what's coming through, but it causes force to happen, which is a form of energy. It's kinetic energy. But the Baron, Barry, is trying to harness it. He wants to harness that and use it to fly the moon away. That's his plan.
Awesome.
Fly the moon. And so he's trying to fly the moon away, and at first, like, Selene is kind of, I think she's initially on board with that, but after she gets to know Ben and whatever, she's like, I have my own interests and whatever, and I don't really care about us flying away from Earth.
Yeah.
Because the Baron is like, we shouldn't be influenced by them. We shouldn't have to do anything for them. We shouldn't have to do anything with them. We should be our own thing. And as long as we're around Earth, we're tied to them, basically. Yeah. And so it all kind of comes down at the end to this little conference where they're trying to set up like how they're going to do it. Because the new pump has to be set up on the moon. So the moon people have to be involved. And the Baron is just like, yeah, no, I mean, we'll do it. We're going to set up the pump, but you guys are not going to have any say in it. We're just going to do it, and it'll do what you want. Like it'll offset the effects, but we're going to use it to fly away.
Bye-bye.
Which would cause a whole bunch of other problems, but hey, whatever. And Ben and Selene kind of join up, and they're like, no, actually. And I guess they've put it to a vote with the other Lunarites to like kind of stop the Baron, and the Baron doesn't end up getting his way. But they're basically like, just build some spaceships and use those to, like, you can still power them with this pump because they'll be in space.
Yeah, you can still leave, just don't take the whole moon with you.
Yeah. But then the Baron's like, no, that'll take too long, whatever, you know. And so it's a whole, like, they don't agree, but he doesn't really get his way.
And then the book ends.
And it's such a weirdly, like, I finished reading the book and I immediately was like, what? That's it? It's over now? Oh, okay. It felt very anticlimactic to me. I don't know how you felt about that.
Yeah, the ending didn't really, it didn't stick with me.
It was a little disappointing because everything up to the ending I loved. I think that having a little bit more time away from it has helped because, like, initially I had some of these thoughts and I felt like maybe it wasn't the intention, but the more time I've had away from it, I think that this is really what Asimov was going for. I kept thinking, like, okay, yeah, that sounds like it'll offset the effects, but I feel like you're probably just creating a new problem.
Oh, most definitely, yeah.
And initially, with the way it's written like it's not a problem. But, you know, I started looking at it through the lens of, okay, well, maybe we have an unreliable narrator here because they want this to work. They want to believe that this is going to work. That doesn't mean that it actually will. And I kind of felt like maybe that was the overarching message of the book, is that, like, basically, if it sounds too good to be true, it is.
Yeah.
And there's no easy way out of energy problems.
Yeah, that's basically what I was getting by the end when they were like, oh, well, this energy thing doesn't work, but we have this new energy thing. It's like, well, we've seen this a few times now.
Yeah.
I think, or at least what I was getting from it is, yeah, this will eventually also be a problem.
Yeah.
They can't really fix this.
Right.
This isn't we are not gods.
Right.
This is not a thing that we can fix. Eventually it will be bad. Eventually the sun will die and we will die.
Yeah.
So,
and once I had a little bit more perspective on that, I liked it. I was like, okay, I do enjoy that. But it's still not a very impactful ending.
Yeah, no, I mean, because like I said, I barely remember. They put it to a vote.
Yeah.
And then the book ends.
Yep.
Sick, man.
And another part that they don't really touch on, the point is brought up, oh, are we screwing over whoever's in this other universe that we're now pumping from?
Probably.
And they were like, well, it would be impossible for anything to live in that universe. And I was like, well, that sounds like nonsense.
Yeah, that's a bit of a cop-out right there.
The more that I, like, tie my head away from it, I'm like, well, he definitely wrote that way on purpose, and the intention is, yes, you are screwing over the people in the other universe, but you just don't want to believe that you are because it messes with your whole plan.
Yeah.
And I actually really liked that. I'm like, that's kind of, I don't know, it's got a fitting sort of irony of the whole situation.
Yeah, the big theme, I guess, that I was getting from this whole thing was sort of an ironic struggle of power.
Yeah.
Where even if they come upon a solution, in the end, inevitably it still won't work.
Yeah.
Because, like, someone's going to get screwed over somewhere. People are going to die eventually.
Yeah.
There's just no way to stop that.
Yeah. Yeah. Ultimately, I enjoyed the whole book. I thought the ending was fine. I thought the ending was just fine.
Yeah. But it was worth it. I can live through a fine ending if I get all that middle part and all the stuff on the moon.
Yeah.
It was worth it.
For sure.
It was good. It was a great experience. There are so many new thoughts in my head now that I never would have thought of before.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's my favorite thing about reading Asimov books. He's so good at just coming up with scenarios that I just couldn't ever have pictured without.
Yeah. Speaking of which, I guess, I'm not sure if there's really a better place to speak about this. I think I had told you before, but shortly after finishing this, I had started reading The Immortal Hulk.
Yeah.
And there is a section where it is in like a completely different part of the universe. And it feels straight up ripped from this book.
Yeah.
Like I was able to see like these Triad people, like I was actually able to see them like in images. And I was like, this is what he was going for, I think. They're weird, they're blobby. They were talking about triads. It was definitely like very much like inspired from this.
Yeah.
So it was just really weird that I happened to read that right after this book.
That is a strange coincidence. Yeah. That's really cool.
Yeah. And that is probably the only thing I could think of in recent memory that I know has been influenced by this.
Yeah.
I'm sure.
Yeah.
There are probably a lot of stories about living on the moon that probably rip some stuff from this.
Yeah, I would imagine so.
It's got a lot of good ideas, especially like how movement works on the moon.
Yeah.
The way that they're describing it, because Ben has a very hard time moving around.
Yeah.
And he's just watching Selene just like, ooh, just kind of like float everywhere. And he can't do it because his body will never really be accustomed to it.
Right.
Because he wasn't born there.
There's a lot of balance and muscle control that's required for moving around effectively.
Yeah. When they were trying to describe it, like when they were climbing up that hill.
Yeah. Yeah.
And she was talking about how you have to put part of your foot down and then kick off with your other foot before you actually like lift it. And there's just so much going on. It's like, I never think about walking.
Right. You just do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But like,
because you learned to walk when you were tiny.
Yeah. So it's weird thinking about like, having to learn how to move a different way.
Yeah.
It's stuff like that made me really like this book. It's just taking into account like things that I had personally never experienced, whether it be walking weird or being some weird amorphous blob.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Things that you just don't really picture.
Yeah.
But really they take the book to another level. I mean, it's
Yeah, it is fascinating. It's very good. Once again, I will say read it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Anything else you need to say about this before we hop into our little game?
Let me look at my notes for just a second, because I'm also going to have to pull out my notes for the game. So
you seem to have written quite a bit more than me.
I have a note that just says melting makes me feel weird. I was thinking about the triads kind of as a brain, like one functioning brain.
Yeah.
Which I discovered later as the story continues with that kind of is, it becomes more obvious that might be what he's going for. But like each one is so single-minded in what their pursuit is that like when you add it all together, it's kind of the different motivations that are just inherent in a person.
Yeah.
And I really liked that kind of breakdown of what makes a person.
It's like Inside Out.
Yeah, exactly. So I thought that was kind of cool.
Like melting together to make babies,
right?
But they wouldn't show that in a Pixar movie.
No,
that'd be scary.
Yeah, a little bit. So I guess let's move on to our game.
So this game, we have 7 quotes.
I've got 7. Yeah.
All right. So we will each read 7 quotes, and the other person will have to tell you, I guess, just who is saying that. If you can give a bit more information, like who it's to or whatever. But just whoever gets more right doesn't get punished.
Exactly. Yeah, there are no prizes, only punishments.
Oh, yeah. There we go. Hit me with one.
All right. So this first one we've got, all right. After all, Chuckles. In a way, I am a layman. I'm just a radiochemist, you know. No I can't read my handwriting. This is illegible.
I'm just gonna take a shot in the dark. Is it going to be what's his name? Peter, my boy Peter?
It's not.
Oh, because it's Ben, of course.
So basically the rest of the quote that I can't quite read because I can tell you more or less what it says is, okay, I'm you can explain it to me like I'm a layman because basically I am a layman.
Because it's Hallam or whatever.
It is Hallam.
Yeah, of course.
But
I didn't get that. I
don't think you got it.
All
yeah,
right.
But that's not totally fair. It would be better if I could read what I wrote.
I'll take it.
Yeah.
So I got, let's just say I have none right now.
Yeah.
Now let me hit you. They're there to be stared at, but actually he didn't.
That's absolutely Selene.
Uh-huh. Talking about
her breasts.
Yeah.
Yeah. Talking about her breasts to Barry in reference to Ben.
Yep, that's the one.
So
there you go. You got
so
one.
right now we're 1-0.
Yep.
All right. So this one, all right. Because of the annoying possibility that communicating with the Paramin will show them to be distinctly more intelligent, because that would show human beings to be puppet partners in this connection with the pump and to the hurt of their ego. And specifically, because Hallam would lose credit for being the father of the electron pump.
I'm going to say that's my boy Lamont.
That is your boy Lamont.
Put one up there for me.
Heck yeah. Do you know who he's talking to?
Is he... Okay, so I think either he's talking to the... Is he talking to the linguist?
He is talking to the linguist. Yeah.
The man who I cannot remember the name of.
He's trying to make a case for why...
he should work with him?
Yeah.
Because the linguist probably... He didn't like Hallam either, did he?
He didn't.
Yeah. All right, here we go. No, I'm alone. Even if that were not the case, Earthies are no great thrill to me.
Is this... This is the... Like, governor fella, right?
Is that your answer? Are you going to lock in?
No, it's definitely not. I'm going to guess Barry. But
Barry?
I think I'm wrong, but I'm going to guess Barry.
That is... that's his name. His name is Dennison. Ben. Who we've been calling Ben. His last name is Dennison.
Oh, so he was saying, yeah. So he said it to another. He said it to the governor guy, didn't he?
He was talking to Selene when they first meet.
Oh, and he said, "An Earthie is no great thrill to him." Interesting. Yeah, I wasn't going to get there. All right, so it's 1-1.
1-1.
All right. Pump not stop, we not stop, pump we not here, danger not here, you stop, please stop, you stop, we stop, please you stop, danger, stop, you stop, pump.
That might be my girl Dua.
Yeah, when you said the thing about Dua being the one that sent notes, I was like, well, he's going to get that one right off.
Yeah.
I was hoping that you, one, wouldn't remember the names of the Triad, and two, wouldn't remember like which one sent the notes. But oh well.
Sorry to disappoint.
But I mean, it's just too good to not use that quote.
I thought
hilarious.
about doing that one. Yeah. All right, here we go. Here's a real easy one for you.
Yeah.
No, I don't like him.
Lamont?
Wrong. That's Neville or Neville, whatever. That's Barry speaking to Selene about Dennison yet again, because I'm pretty sure he said that like 10 times.
Yeah, well, I was going to say, well, he said that. I think she said that about someone else. And then Lamont definitely said it. Like, it was a cheap shot.
Yeah,
but that's fair.
It'll make sense in a minute. Go ahead with your next one. By the way, I got 2.
All right, you got 2. I've got one. I cannot say I wish to pass on now, hard sir. There is so much to learn.
Son of a boo-hoo-hoo. I used that quote too.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
All right, so we'll just do 6, I guess.
Yeah.
But for the sake of the audience, that was Odin.
That was Odin, yeah.
And he was talking to Loston.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. I'll give him a place to work. Oh, wait, did you want to go with another one?
Oh, yeah, I guess I should go.
All right, go ahead. Don't do that one.
But Odin, all the stars are coming to an end. The universe is coming to an end. Dun, dun, dun.
Dun, dun, dun. Is that also My Girl Dua?
Incorrect.
Darn.
It's Loston.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, that's probably like a end of chapter stinger.
Yep.
That's what it feels like.
It totally is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Man, I just got a text. All right. I'll give him a place to work. He may be worthless as a scientist, but he'll have his uses just the same.
Oh, isn't that Barry?
Is it? Are you locking in?
Yeah, I'm gonna go with it. I'm pretty sure it's actually that, like, the guy that's the head of that little research center.
What's his name?
I don't know.
Come on, give me his name.
I don't know his name.
Or just say the guy, if that's what your answer is going to be.
Okay, I'm going to go with that. It's the guy that's the head of the little research base that they have with the little telescopy guy.
You're wrong. It was Barry.
Dang it.
And not only was it Barry, it was Barry literally 2 seconds after saying, no, I don't like him.
Yeah, I should have seen that coming. Well, I think I've lost at this point, right?
Maybe.
So you still have 2, right?
Yes.
And I still have 1. So I might pull it out. There's still a chance for me.
Maybe.
All right. Am I a left M, Daddy?
I mean, yeah, let's do it.
Dua. Yeah. I just liked the quote.
3. Yeah, I almost did that one too.
Yeah.
We received an English word.
Lamont.
That is correct.
Yes, and he's talking to the linguist.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That, I believe, is also an end of chapter stinger.
Yeah.
That's how I grabbed most of these. I just looked at the last line.
That's really funny.
All right, you got one more for me?
I got one more for you. All right. Surely, Commissioner, you can't feel that I'm the ideal man to bear witness to the Lunarites as to how fair-minded and well-disposed the Earth scientific establishment is.
Is that my boy Ben?
It is. It is. So it's 4-2 right now.
All right.
So that I can't win.
You can't. Do you want me to just go through my others? Because I wrote more than you did.
No, that's all right.
No? All right.
It'd be an unfair advantage. I've lost.
Oh, no, I'm just saying, like, just for fun.
Oh, okay. Well, then, yeah.
Yeah,
absolutely.
We already called it. You're getting punished, but I have a few good ones. Let's see. I tasted it. It wasn't that bad.
I feel like that's Ben.
Incorrect. It was Odin talking to Dua
he's
about
talking
their
about the
artificial
energy.
food. Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's see. Would you be surprised? You are very unusual yourself, Odin, and you've told me on a number of occasions that Trit is.
That's Loston.
That is
for
correct.
Sure.
Yeah.
He's talking about how they're talking about how Dua's kind of weird.
Yeah, she's a bit quirky.
Yeah.
Oh, here we go. No, I think you did this one too, did you? I don't know. I'll just read it. Why Dua? It's the time. Did you read this one?
No.
Oh, I've been expecting it. Surely you have.
Is it Trit?
No.
It's Odin, isn't it?
No.
It's neither. Is it Loston?
Mm-mm.
Is it? Oh, it's her dad.
It's her dad.
That's rough.
When he was dying.
That's really rough.
Yeah.
I can't believe you did him like that.
I know, right? I also have one from some guy named Chen, but I don't remember who that is.
Yeah, fair enough.
It just says, you're telling me that the quasars are what are left of pumping planets?
Right.
Yes,
on.
I am. All right.
Okay, well, now it's punishment time.
It is punishment time. So anyway, I'm going to go make Tim do 50 sit-ups real quick.
Yeah, it'll be fun for everyone.
Yeah, real quick. All right. 50.
Oh, gosh. So we're recording?
Yeah.
Oh no. I'm realizing now that I'm on the floor how much this is actually gonna suck.
Yeah. Oh, I should count. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
Oh no, I'm sliding. We like stand on my feet.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, this is how pros do it.
8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16,
oh gosh.
18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, yeah, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, yeah, 39, 40, only 10 more.
Right. I gotta catch my breath for a second. Whew. I haven't done a sit-up in a long time. I'm really bad at them.
I've been doing them every day since I had this idea.
Oh, I decided not to, so I would be really awful at it. Okay.
I prepared.
Oh.
41, 42, 43, 44, yeah, 45, 46.
Oh, gosh. This is awful.
47, yeah. 40.
Oh, gosh. No. Okay, it's 47. I can do 3 more. I can do this.
3 more, Tim.
Okay. Let's do this. We got it.
We got it.
It's basically easy.
Yeah.
Oh, gosh. Oh, no.
48. Do it with me. 40.
Oh, no. Oh. I didn't think I was going to hit my cap so hard.
49. One more, Tim.
Oh, no.
One more.
You're kidding me.
One more, Tim.
I hate myself for this. Oh, no.
Come on. Yeah, one more. 50. Yeah. Yeah.
Man, no wonder I'm, like, out of shape in every other way. Oh, man.
I feel worn out just watching you.
Whew. All right, I'm fine.
You're fine.
I'm totally fine.
All right.
It really hurts me that I couldn't make it. Like, I did 40 fine. 40 was okay.
Yeah.
Because that last 10, if I hadn't stopped at 40, if I just kept going, I might have done better.
Maybe.
Who knows?
Who knows?
What a failure.
Not us.
All right, well, that's the punishment.
That is the punishment.
I got punished.
That you did.
What happens now?
Well, now, normally, once we have more than one book, we would do a ranking for 100%. This season. Which, by the way, I don't think we ever talked about what this sort of season, as it were,
we didn't.
Is about. It's sort of... just like it started off as just sci-fi, but now it's more like the horrors of science.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's that. And as for rankings go, I'd say I've given this a bit of thought. I think I'm gonna put it at number 1 for now.
Yeah.
But we'll see. We'll see how that goes.
I'm gonna put it. I'll put it at number 2 for now.
Number 2?
Yeah.
All right, that's fair.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. We did it.
We did it. We did a thing, a whole thing. But yeah, so thank you for being here with us for this momentous occasion.
Yeah.
Once again, I have once and always will be Joey.
I'm still Tim.
That he is.
If you guys liked what we did here, stick around. We're going to do some more. And
go ahead.
If you have anything you want to chime in with about the book, if you read it and, want to give a shout out or something like that, feel free to reach out in the Q&A section of Spotify or on YouTube with the comments.
I didn't know Spotify had that. That's cool.
Yeah.
Thanks, Spotify. For hosting us and giving us a Q&A section. Wow. Yeah, so our plan is to have 5 more books for this season. We don't know when this one will be coming out. We're probably going to record a few first, but when the first one does come out, which hopefully will be this one because I feel good about it, you should be expecting them on a monthly basis.
Yeah.
So for 6 months, expect to hear from us 6 times about 6 books.
Thanks, and goodbye.
And get out of here. Read it